Tim Black Wolfpack. We started back in 2014. Folks on the online community wanted to come together to fight back against the garbage that goes on in D.C. We couldn't stand the politics, so we wanted to do something about it. Didn't know what, but we knew we needed to do something. It hasn't gotten better, it's gotten worse. It's time to ride again. Join us. Wolfpack. What is that even doing there, Johnson? Get that out of here. How's it going, people? How you doing? Welcome. We're live. We're on every platform that we're usually on. If you see me, I've got something there. That's what's happening. My name is Tim Black. Welcome back to the Tim Black Show. This is a special edition of the Tim Black Show. We had to jump in real quick. We want to do something on the announcement that Kamala Harris made today. VP Harris. She picked her VP running mate. And we want to talk about that real quick. What's up, guys? How y'all doing? We're live. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I see that I got my Wolfpack in the house. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I know you're not used to seeing me at this time of day. There we go. Okay. So let's get into it. First of all, if you haven't heard yet, Kamala Harris chose governor of Minnesota. His name is Tim Walz. He's got a good first name. Good, strong first name. I like that first name. It's an interesting pick, folks. Interesting pick. I'm still kind of processing how I feel about him. I'm getting some good vibes. I'm getting some suspicious vibes. getting some bad vibes as well. But we're going to talk about all of that. I guess the first thing we want to do is look at, give you some background on this guy so you understand who he is. Not everyone is familiar with Tim Walz, Minnesota governor. Let me give you what I have here. Then we'll go to some clips. Okay, so Tim Walz, one of the things I like about him so far is he's not a career politician. Actually had jobs outside of politics. Okay, he didn't get into politics until he was 42 years old. Very different from a lot of the other folks that are running. Or that's a good mix. He was a football coach. Yeah, he's 60 years old, 6-term representative, and he beat a Republican to become the governor of Minnesota. He has a diverse, accomplished background, born in 1964 in West Point, Nebraska. He grew up in a Lutheran family of German descent. Before entering politics, he spent decades as a teacher, a school teacher, and a football coach. He taught social studies and geography. He coached football at Mankato West High School in Minnesota. Walz also has a strong military background, serving 24 years in the Army, National Guard, and retiring as a command sergeant major. He didn't begin his political career until 2006 when he was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, representing Minnesota's 1st Congressional District. He served 6 terms in Congress, focusing on veterans issues and other key policies. In 2018, Walz was elected as the 41st governor of Minnesota. He was re-elected in 2022. Recently, he was announced as Vice President Kamala Harris' running mate, as you know, for the 2024 presidential election, which is what I'm doing right now. So that's some of the background on Mr. Walz. Now, there is some other stuff about Mr. Walz. He appears to be someone with progressive leanings, if not full-out progressive policies. Here goes a clip of him and Jake Tapper having a conversation. I'm not sure when this took place, but it doesn't look that long ago.
Marijuana, you've passed universal background checks on guns, but you've legalized recreational marijuana, you passed universal background checks on guns, you expanded LGBTQ protections, you implemented tuition-free college for low-income Minnesotans, there's free breakfast and lunch for school kids. Do you think your record is an asset to the ticket, or would it risk fueling Trump's attacks as you being a big government liberal?
What a monster. Kids are eating and having full bellies so they can go learn, and women are making their own health care decisions. And we're a top 5 business state, and we also rank in the top 3 of happiness. Look,
hold on, guys. I want to back up just a bit. That was a lot that Jake Tapper rattled off there. Legalize marijuana, huh? You legalize marijuana. That's good. That's good stuff. I mean, I think that should have been done. I'm glad he did that.
they're going to label whatever.
Hold on tight. Hold on tight. I want to.
Protections. You implemented tuition-free college for low-income Minnesotans.
Tuition-free college for low-income Minnesotans. Okay. Sounds a little Bernie-esque. Okay, sounds a lot Bernie-esque. Hold on, guys. Let me rewind this.
Checks on guns. You expanded LGBTQ protection.
You did what?
But you've legalized recreational marijuana. You passed universal background checks.
Universal background checks on guns.
On guns. You expanded LGBTQ protections. You implemented tuition-free college for low-income Minnesotans. There's free breakfast and lunch.
Free breakfast, lunch. I'd like to know what LGBTQ protections are. I'd like to know what those are. What's that mean? Yeah, I guess I have to look it up. I'm expecting somebody to talk back to me and tell me. I don't know. Okay, let's keep going.
For school kids, do you think your record is an asset to the ticket, or would it risk fueling Trump's attacks as you being a big government liberal?
What a monster. Kids are eating and having full bellies so they can go learn, and women are making their own healthcare decisions. And we're a top 5 business state, and we also rank in the top 3 of happiness. Look, they're going to label whatever they're going to label. He's going to roll it out, mispronounce names, you know, to try and make the case. The fact of the matter is, where you see the policies that Vice President Harris was a part of making.
I like that attitude. I like that attitude when you say, hey, I'm who I am. This is what I stand for. Let them say whatever they want to say. They can do whatever they want to do. Not of my concern. My concern is sticking to whatever my convictions are. I like that, man. I mean, I think that's something we don't get enough of, frankly. So far, this looks hopeful. Just on the baseline of, I mean, do you want somebody who's going to change like the wind? Who's going to move about when it's politically convenient? Which is my biggest knock on Kamala Harris, even though people seem not to care about that. I value that. I value, even if I disagree with you, just the fact that I know where you exist, where you stand, is so damn important. I don't know why people don't value it. But you know, identity politics rots the brain. Rots the brain. But let's keep going, Mr. Walz.
Democratic governors across the country executed those policies, and quality of life is higher, the economies are better, all of those things. Educational attainment is better. So yeah, my kids are going to eat here, and you're going to have a chance to go to college, and you're going to have an opportunity to live where we're working on reducing carbon emissions. Oh, and by the way, you're going to have personal incomes that are higher, and you're going to have health insurance. So if that's where they want to label me, I'm more than happy to take the label.
Damn. He sounds like a better version of a lot of people that claim to be progressive. Interesting stuff. So, wow. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be more to it. In fact, there is a lot more to it. I didn't come out here today just with that. I came out here with a bunch of other clips. I will say this, so before we get into, I saw a clip of Tim Walz, Governor Walz. I didn't even know he was a governor. I thought it was just some guy talking. I was like, who was this guy? You know, I'm scrolling through X or Facebook or Instagram, one of those, maybe even TikTok, and I saw this video clip I'm about to play for you. And I was like, who's this? Seems like a regular guy. Check out the clip.
Just weird. That's who they are. So these guys are just weird. That's who they are. So it isn't much else. Don't give them the power. Look, are they a threat to democracy? Yes. Are they going to take our rights away? Yes. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes. Are they going to endanger the planet by not dealing with climate change? Yes. They're going to do all that. But don't lift these guys up like they're sometimes the heroes. Everybody in this room knows, I know it as a teacher, a bully has no self-confidence. A bully has no strength. They have nothing. The fascists depend on fear. The fascists depend on us going back. But we're not afraid of weird people. We're a little bit creeped out, but we're not afraid. But look, and then as you heard this, and one day ago, a poll came out and showed Kamala Harris up 10 points and Donald Trump getting his ass handed to him here in Minnesota. So sorry. But he's here today in the state of hockey to complete his trifecta. He lost in 16, he lost in 20, he loses in 24.
Wow. You know, ouch. I got a feeling that the Republican Party is not happy about this. Yeah, I got a feeling they're not too happy about this, Johnson. This seems like quite a conundrum for the conservatives over there. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're going to be able to run on that stuff where they demonize people who want kids to eat. They're going to be able to run on some stuff, right? Obviously, the regular playbook, right? And yeah. But like I said, the appeal of this guy is that, like I stated, I mean, who would know that was a governor? He's wearing, look how he's dressed. Look how he's talking. He's not using politic-speak. He's speaking directly about the issue. He's not doing too much grandstanding either. Just kind of just point blank about how he feels about something. I thought it was just another citizen. I thought it was just any old citizen out of wherever. I didn't even know it was in Minnesota. That could have been anywhere in the Midwest, frankly, right? That guy's just a guy. He could have been as far east as like Pennsylvania, right? Sounds like a regular guy talking about MAGA. Oh man. Wow. I don't know, guys. Okay, so when you're looking at something like this, one of the things I hated when I used to watch cable news, and what I still kind of hate about it, but I watch less of it, I only do my research and get out, is I hate when they only present one side of the argument, they only show. So what we're going to do is different. I know it may hurt your feelings, or it may it may confuse you, because we're about to listen to see exactly what other people think, like what other networks think who have other ideologies. Instead of being in a bubble of whatever you think this is, we're going to play some other clips. So let's go see what the Fox News people are saying about the pick. Let's start with Fox News. Then we're going to do NewsNation and Newsmax. That's right, guys. Let's not be in an echo chamber. How about we do that? Check it out, fam.
Studio, and good morning to you. Already Republicans are saying this is the most extreme ticket in political history. What's your take on Tim Walz on the undercard now?
See, I told you I knew the playbook. This is a standard political playbook. This is what you have when you say bye to Biden. When you say bye to Biden, you end up with a regular old playbook. Now they won't be able to sit all day and talk about how cognitively impaired Biden is. Now it's back to the old thing. And now that's not looking so good for the GOP. Because this type of race, yeah, that's the kind of race that Democrats can do really well in. Let's go. What's up? Let's see what she says.
This is a stunning choice. I imagine there's a lot of cheering at Mar-a-Lago at the moment. Look, Tim Walz, he's no one to scoff at. He unseated a 6-term Republican in Congress. He won a conservative district. He began as a moderate. And then he had a radical transformation as soon as he got a trifecta in Minnesota. I think it is fair to call him a progressive in sheep's clothing. When you look at his record over the last few years, what you see are transgender surgeries for minors, carbon electrical grid by 2040, driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. In function, his abortion policy allows abortion until birth. These are policies that are far to the left of America. And as John McCormick at the Wall Street Journal pointed out, Kamala Harris has to do the exact opposite of what Tim Walz did. Tim Walz became more progressive. Kamala Harris is trying to become more moderate. But Republicans are going to say, you've shed all your progressive policies, but yet you chose a progressive instead of the guy who outperformed Donald Trump and Joe Biden in Pennsylvania, and that man's name is Josh Shapiro.
And that could potentially bring support from Jewish voters, something the Harris campaign needs sorely, no matter who's on the ticket with her. What do you think tipped the scales for the campaign? It is, as you mentioned, a bit of a shock choice. Do you think it was an ideology bent here, or do you think it was based on raw polling?
So the word coming out of the Kamala Harris camp to reporters was chemistry. She wanted someone with whom she had chemistry. I would love to know what Obama said to her on the phone, because this time last cycle, 4 years ago, Joe Biden was having apprehensions about choosing Kamala Harris. He called Obama. He expressed these reservations to Obama per CNN, and Obama said back to him, none of that is as important as winning. So I wonder what Obama said, because if this is a chemistry choice, that's fantastic if you have chemistry. But if you don't make it to Pennsylvania Avenue in 2 months, the chemistry doesn't matter. So I've got to believe this was an innate decision of how she was feeling. But feelings should go out the window when you're looking at the path to 270.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah, they said, this guy's radical. This makes the ticket very radical, XYZ. I don't think it does make the ticket too radical, because Kamala Harris says anything. I keep going back to my knock on Kamala. like you never know what she stands for. She doesn't stand for anything. When you stand for everything, you stand for nothing. So that doesn't help. Like that doesn't it doesn't give you a double progressive ticket at all because, like I said, Kamala's she's just you know, it is what it is. She's just a feminine, she's just a woman of color with some bona fides after holding these positions, and it was a former VP. And that's a lot to have for if you're running as a Democrat, right? That's a lot to have, even though policy-wise, what you stand for wise, all that other stuff, not so good. But what I find is interesting here, guys, what I find interesting is she said, yeah, it's nothing to scoff at. This guy's nothing to play around with. He beat a Republican and get the seat. And that's how he became governor. So, yeah. Yeah, so let's go see what they're saying on NewsNation. We don't often hear from NewsNation, but they have a voice. Let's check them out.
Background, I served with Tim for 6 years in Congress and spent a good bit of time with him because our lockers were next to each other in the gymnasium. His district was relatively centrist, mostly farmers. Tim served on the Agricultural Committee in the House, one of the few bipartisan or at least bipartisan tending committees in Congress. So he knows how to speak to folks who aren't as left-wing as he is. Now, the criticism of Tim has been that he's been a much more progressively left governor than he was a congressman, but that's politics. I think that's where he is. I think he's just a little bit more liberal than folks realize. But again, that's Minnesota. That's the state that he represents. So he's going to be satisfactory to the left wing of the party, and I think he'll be able to reach out, at least as the campaigner. That's what a vice president is, right? He's the number one surrogate for the presidential candidate, and I think he'll have some success in the Midwest with his just easygoing, down-to-earth style.
Yeah, I got a feeling he's going to have success at that too. He's going to attract those people who are just looking for somebody that kind of seems normal, I guess. Right? Just, hey man, I think Rami put it best. Yeah, Rami put it best. Check this out, guys. I was listening to Rami today when he made his comments about Walz. Let me find him real quick. Let's see.
Oh, Nancy Pelosi goes and says Joe Biden sit down. Joe Biden has to sit down. She picks Kamala Harris, and then she picks Tim Walz. And since Kamala Harris, there's no reason to believe that she's actually has principles or ideas of her own. Just said, okay, it makes sense. It vibed well. And Nancy Pelosi does whatever the donors want. So, and she's not an unsavvy politician. So I think Tim Walz is fine. For example, I'm probably going to vote for the Harris-Walz ticket for Tim Walz because I think Tim Walz will hold steady.
Now, see, that's the only thing I question because he is a VP. He's, VP. Who votes for somebody because of the VP? I don't know. I guess you must have been on the fence initially, and this put you over the fence. But if you're dead set against Kamala, you never make that call, I guess. I don't think people will make that move to vote for her, to vote for him in spite of her when she is the top of the ticket. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know how that works, but he gives his explanation for it here. Check this out.
So whatever situation you're in right now isn't going to get any worse if Tim Walz is the VP because Harris doesn't care about any actual policy and Walz is like a sensible guy, like with regular white guy sensibilities. So black people are not doing particularly well now, but we're not going to do any worse with the Harris-Walz ticket, which I don't know. With Trump, we might there's a higher risk and higher reward.
That's an interesting way to put it, man. With Trump, it's a high risk, high reward situation. I like the way he put that because that is sort of the way I see it. And that's sort of the way I saw what Kamala. It's risky for Trump, but I feel like it's if you're not going to, damn it, if you're going to go with Kamala, I just could not bring myself to do it, to do something like that. I just couldn't. Walz does give me pause for that decision. But I got to say this, irony, I got to say this, man. I don't see much in Walz that focuses on Black Americans, but it is Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? I don't see anything there, but he does have some stuff now. But how much of it will he be able to implement? What will he be able to do with Kamala Harris? You know, what's he going to do with the top cop? What's she going to let him do? What's like, everyone spent 4 years telling me that Kamala Harris couldn't do shit because Joe Biden is the man. And and not just because he's a man, but because he's literally the president of the United States. And that a vice president is just basically a ceremonial position. And that, the way D.L. Hughley put it, he was like, hey, this nothing, you can expect nothing of VPs. They just background music. They do nothing. Pick that up and move that around. They're like a key grip. You know, an extra. Non-playing character. So, I'm trying to figure it out. Now, all of a sudden, people are visualizing Walz as this amazing figure that could come in and transform this ticket and add so much depth and progressivism to it. But I'm like, isn't that what y'all been saying is the opposite? So he's going to come in and Dick Cheney, Kamala Harris? He going to Bigfoot her? Is that what people are saying? Now, if I could only believe that. But see, even when I think positively about that, I'm still faced with this dilemma. And this is a dilemma, irony, and all those people out there. Check this out, fam. This gives me pause. This right here.
Among the six and certainly among the two. Tim Walz is wonderful. And she had many.
There it is. In the press conference. Just the fact that we have Nancy Pelosi saying that Tim Walz is wonderful makes me think how unwonderful he is. That I must be missing something. Because anyone that makes Nancy Pelosi call them wonderful must have a lot that I do not like about them. And I don't want to be fooled or duped, and I don't want to dupe my audience. Understand what I'm saying? Yeah, like if Nancy Pelosi is endorsing you, I don't know. Like, you know, if she chose it, I'll choose the other side. Like, I choose whatever's not being, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. I'm only going to pick from what she didn't choose. Because Nancy Pelosi is a political animal with no focus on, I feel, what helps Black people, particularly and working class people, you know, by you know, I don't know the word for it, but yeah, by existence or by, you know, the trifecta, not trifecta, tangentially, whatever, what's the word for it? Like, I just, adjacent, yeah, working class adjacent people. Like, so you got Black Americans, which are largely working class, and then you got working class people, which I mean by that, I mean people without trust accounts, people making modest incomes, middle class and under. Those are the people I see. You know what I'm saying? The people that work at the Amazons, the people that work in the service industries, the people that work, you know, that drive Lyft on the weekends or in the evenings. Those people working those two jobs. You know, the people the essential workers that keep the country running. That's what I think of when I think. Not everyone. I know we got some doctors and lawyers. Remember, 2%. Right? So, and engineers and all that other great stuff. I know you got your good Black job, but I'm talking about the rest of Black America. And I don't see Nancy Pelosi being a big beneficiary or a big supporter of policies for us. Why did she like Walz so much? What is it about this guy? You know? You know, what is it? I would feel more comfortable if I knew why she liked him. Did he, I don't know. Did he help her with something at some point? What makes her like him? Because I'm scared of whatever that is. That gives me big time pause, man. Seriously.
Many good choices among the six and certainly among the two. I'm a big fan of Governor Shapiro. Tim Walz, I know very well. He served in the House. to characterize him as left is so unreal. It's just not what the question. He's right down the middle. He's a heartland of America Democrat.
See, right down the middle don't help black folks, man. Right down the middle does not help working class black folks. Right down the middle is most of the Democratic Party, and if that was helping us, we wouldn't be needing help, because that's pretty much who runs the party. Moderate Democrats, right? So, or is Nancy Pelosi saying this to help the Democratic Party, knowing how they're going to peg and how they're going to tag Tim Walz? I don't think she is, man. I mean, that's always possible, but I don't know if I can count on it. So these are the reasons. So, excuse me, Nancy Pelosi comes out. She thinks she's being helpful. Instead, any progressive-minded person is going to be pumping brakes big time just from this segment alone. Here, Nancy big him up. Speaking of people criticizing Tim Walz, though, let's go back to that. Let's put a little bit more. This may be considered water on the fire, or it could be considered more embers, because here goes J.D. Vance on Newsmax with his thoughts. It'll also tell us how they expect to go after Walz, because these two guys will be debating.
20 million illegal aliens for scarce homes. Obviously, the big news of the day is that Tim Walz has been nominated as the VP, or is now the presumptive nominee, I should say, for Kamala Harris. My view on it is it just highlights how radical Kamala Harris is. This is a person who listened to the Hamas wing of her own party and selecting a nominee. This is a guy who's proposed.
That's a funny way to say wants to end the war, wants to end the slaughter, wants to end the genocide in Israel. Palestinians being pummeled, some dying of famine right now, starving to death. That's a funny way to put it. The Hamas wing. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Shipping more manufacturing jobs to China, who wants to make the American people more reliant on garbage energy instead of good American energy, and has proposed defunding the police just as Kamala Harris does. I think it's interesting, actually. They make an interesting tag team because, of course, Tim Walz allowed rioters to burn down Minneapolis in the summer of 2020, and then the few who got caught, Kamala Harris helped bail them out of jail. So it is more instructive for what it says about Kamala Harris, that she doesn't care about the border, she doesn't care about crime, she doesn't care about American energy, and most importantly, she doesn't care about the Americans who have been made to suffer under those policies. I'll take a couple questions, then we're going to hit the road and go to this press conference. Yeah.
Would show that with its anti-Semitism, the reason why you believe Kamala Harris didn't choose Josh Shapiro instead of that?
Well, it's not what I believe. It's what the Democratic leadership has said. Many people said repeatedly that the reason Kamala Harris was going away from the Josh Shapiro selection is because they were worried about anti-Semitism. They were worried about certain voters. They were worried about some of the leaders and the grassroots activists in their party wouldn't take a Jewish nominee. I think it's despicable. I think it's disgusting. But that is right out of the words of many members of the Democratic leadership. And so,
what about the whole thing about Josh Shapiro? First of all, he seemed a little slimy. That's just how he seemed to me when I heard him talk. I mean, I didn't get like he was just a regular guy talking. He felt like a guy. He felt a little bit too, he felt sleazy. He felt, I don't know, felt a little Obama-esque. You know what I'm saying? A little, don't get me wrong, man, talented, but there's such a thing as too polished. Too polished, and then his polish seemed a little bootleg, like he stole it from Obama. Not unlike Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay? Sound like, a little bit too mechanical. Sort of like how you sound, J.D. Vance. You don't sound like somebody who's just having a conversation and just talking. You sound like somebody who's stilted. Like a pole stuck up your ass a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So you sound a little bit like you watch too much Ben Shapiro. Even though we're talking about Josh Shapiro, you sound a little bit too Ben Shapiro. Mechanical, Marco Rubio style. More like you want to sound the way you think people would want you to sound, which is sort of the fake sound. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Great backstory. Guy with struggle in his background, guy with all the adversity and then all the success. But then you come out and you don't sound like that guy. You should sound more like Tim Walz. But you don't. You sound more like Ben Shapiro. And Ben Shapiro is a guy, seems like he's never touched the steering wheel or changed his own oil or tire or defended his wife or his girlfriend or got into a fight at school. Like, you know, it just doesn't seem like the kind of guy. But, you know, it's just my interpretation of it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could be wrong. I mean, I know you are a vet. It's just, you sound like that guy. It's like I'm disconnected. Vance, I'm disconnected between you and the you on paper and you how you present yourself. It's like two different things. It's like I feel like you have a personality disorder. That's it. You sound like Sybil. You sound like you're not. So, and see, this is where we get into, like, this is the commentary portion of it, right? I think I got one or two more clips, but I want to say this. I feel like this race has changed dramatically, and now it's almost really a toss-up. Now, we don't know what Kamala's going to say. All it takes is Kamala coming out a couple of times and talking without a teleprompter and being asked important questions like, what's inflation? What are we going to do about jobs? Like basic questions. And just let her go. But barring that, if she could get away with not having to do an interview, not a long-form interview, not having a debate, I don't know why she wants a debate. Because if the questions are posed, she's going to run around the ring. And I don't think it's going to be well. But barring that, guys, I'm going to have to go with Vance, Kamala Harris, just off the strength that she's got like a normal guy. A normal guy with policies that's going to make the left come out. I think they were going to come out anyway, though. I don't know. I still think it's a slight edge. A slight edge now. Because, JD, you're not impressing me, bro. Like, I don't know what you give Trump. I thought you gave Trump something, but that was on paper when I read your backstory. But when I hear you talk, that kind of goes away from me. And now we got a vet against a vet. And you're like a one-term guy against a six-term guy and now a governor? Yeah, people got to admit this is a strong pick. Where's her name? Kaylee or whatever. I'm sorry, I can't remember. The one from Fox. When she said...
Walz is 60 years old. He is in the studio. And good morning to you, Kaylee McEnany now joins us in studio. And good morning to you. Already Republicans are saying this is the most extreme ticket in political history. What's your take on Tim Walz on the undercard now?
This is a stunning choice. I imagine there's a lot of cheering at Mar-a-Lago at the...
See, I don't think there's a lot of cheering at Mar-a-Lago. I think there's some concern. Because the race now takes on the complexion of what every other race is. Every other race that I can remember. That's what this now becomes, which is not the advantage for the GOP. Remember, Democrats are the incumbents. So, yeah, and all the momentum is, I mean, it's just amazing that the momentum has shifted so harsh towards the Democratic Party, and this just adds another layer of momentum. I mean, Trump got shot and still couldn't keep the momentum for more than a couple of days. And it wasn't for him getting bad publicity with the National Association of Black Journalists. No one would be talking about Trump at all. You know, this guy, Walz, scored almost a technical knockout just with the weird comments. Like all the oxygen came out the room with the word weird, and I knew it because I saw Republicans responded to it. Like, we're not weird. Look at those drag queens reading books. So that meant, oh, that stung, didn't it? That hurt you. Because now you're coming back and you're having to respond to it. So if things get normie, which is what Trump doesn't want normal, if things get normie, right? That favors the Democratic Party, not the Republican Party. Because your whole thing, the only thing the Republicans have going for them is we need to get out of here. This is a mess. This is a messy, messy mess. And if you're not offering anything different, it's just normal business as usual. They're a socialist. Like I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work. Here goes Tim Walz, kind of talking about another policy that they did that I think is important.
Today to highlight one of those that I think Lieutenant Governor, myself, Commissioner Marquardt, and I would argue a vast majority of Minnesotans considered to be one of the most important things that we did the last legislative session. That was the child tax credit. We saw during the pandemic when the federal government moved on the child tax credit, we saw the largest movement of children out of poverty that we've seen in our nation's history. It was a massive shift of folks moving out of poverty, children specifically. Well, that expired at the federal level, but we in Minnesota picked it up and beefed that thing up. And we have the best child tax credit in the country.
Oh, yeah, that's going to leave a mark, Johnson. That leaves a mark, fam. I'm sorry, that leaves a mark. Yeah, that's serious business. Yeah, I don't think that's serious business. I mean, that child tax credit was a big move. We've been talking about that around here, about how it lifted a lot of children out of poverty. That's a big win for Black families. Once again, I don't know the dynamics, the demographics of Minnesota, but that's a big win. A lot of people need to move to Minnesota if that's the case, because that helps a lot. And yeah, to pick that up on the statewide level, on the state level, and implement that, that's pretty strong. I wonder how many states actually did that. I know Maryland did not. I know Westmore did not. All I keep hearing about is how great Westmore is. But it's not based on policy. It's based on how he sounds. It's right back to the identity garbage that I can't stand. You know what I'm saying? Legalizing marijuana, yeah, okay. Okay. Anyway, not to talk about that. What do you guys think about Tim Walz? What do you think about it? Does it make sense what I'm saying so far? Does it make sense what you're hearing? Republicans are going to run the same old playbook, man. These are some radical lefties over here. And that's going to be hard to sell it when you're also trying to sell, Kamala Harris is a chameleon. So is she really radical lefty? No, she's not. She's not. She's not. She never was. It's going to be hard for her supporters also to wrap their heads around the fact that's true. What I'm saying is just true. So it's going to expose her as a big phony. So my thing is this. This exposes the problem of Kamala, not the problem of Tim Walz. The fact that he has a flip-floppy ass person on the top of the ticket does not help. And I know that's not what a lot of sisters want to hear me say, but it's the facts, Jack. It's the facts. So when we're having this conversation, all this matters, but what matters most is how it impacts the race, Tim. So look, what do we got, guys? How does this impact the race overall? Let's go to this guy who talks a lot about the stats and the polls and districts and stuff at a different level.
But break down for us the governor's background for us, and what do we know about him, and what impact does he bring to this race?
Yeah, I think that background, the small town background, the military background, Democrats are hoping it's going to help them. You're hearing a lot about this here as we take a look at our battleground map here. They're hoping it's going to help them in these three very familiar battleground states we always talk about: Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. And the reason why, obviously, from the Electoral College standpoint why these are so important, but the challenge for Democrats in these three states has been pretty straightforward for a long time now. Democrats have been cleaning up, increasingly so, in the suburbs of Philadelphia, suburbs of Pittsburgh, suburbs of Detroit, suburbs of Grand Rapids, even suburbs of Milwaukee. Used to be hardcore Republican, much, much less so in the Trump era. So the Democrats have been doing really, really well in the suburbs where they need help in these states, and why these states have been so close and why Trump even won all three of these states in 2016 is the sort of small town, rural core of each one of these states. That's where Trump and the Republicans have been surging since 2016. That's where the Democrats have been losing ground. The Democrats used to do pretty well in a lot of these places, no more. So the hope is that for Democrats is that Walz's background, his story will be familiar to voters in those places and will help them in those states. Now, here's where it gets a little complicated, though, because Minnesota is very similar to these three states. It's not so much a battleground state because the demographics, there's a little bit more of that college-educated suburban population that's so heavily Democratic around the Twin Cities. But the basic dynamic in Minnesota demographically is pretty similar to these three states. And let's take a look here at how Tim Walz did. This is the 2022 governor's race in Minnesota. Now, he was reelected, you can see here, by an 8-point margin. But the key is when you look at Minnesota and you look for those areas I'm describing, where the Democrats have been losing ground in Wisconsin and Michigan and PA. Well, those areas comparably, demographically, culturally in Minnesota would be what they kind of call greater Minnesota. And it's almost the entire state geographically, except for this core area around the Twin Cities. Ton of population, majority of the population's in this Twin City metro area. But everything else around here is greater Minnesota. And that's very similar turf demographically to where the Democrats need votes in those other three states. And how did Walz do in these areas? Well, you see a ton of red, but I think this is the key. We'll show you one county here, for example. This could be a stand-in for many. This is Stearns County. This is in greater Minnesota. This is similar to a lot of the terrain you see in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Walz lost this by 23 points. How does that compare to Joe Biden in 2020? Joe Biden lost the same county by 23 points. How does that compare to Hillary Clinton in 2016? Hillary Clinton lost it by 28 points. And now here's the key, because this county, Democrats used to be much more competitive in. Look at this. In 2012, Barack Obama won 43% of the vote in this county. It was only a little bit more than 10 points that he lost to Romney by here. The floor fell out for Democrats here when Trump came along in that Clinton race in 2016, and they haven't recovered it since. And that Walz performance here, it's a little less than Biden's number. It's more than Clinton's, and it's a far cry from what Obama was doing here. And again, I'm showing you one. This is a stand-in for dozens of counties in Minnesota where you saw the same thing with large rural populations, blue-collar white populations, where Obama, and some of them he was winning, others he was holding his own just a dozen years ago. This is where Democrats have lost ground. And Walz in 2022, he didn't gain any ground that the Democrats had lost. He didn't do that here. He didn't do that in other counties. Walz really owes his victory, that that margin, he got 8 points there statewide, he owes it to the Twin Cities area here, the area where Democrats in Minnesota and all these other states are already doing well. It's sort of the standard Democratic victory model in a state like this. It got Walz in 2022. This is the biggest county in the state.
Okay, that's a lot of stuff, man. I don't want to keep going there too long. Some Kitty, I appreciate you. Some Kitty, I appreciate that. Yeah, man. Yeah, I see some comments that are just crazy. But other comments are true. Now they say one of the knocks is that Walz gave driver's license to undocumented people. I gotta fact check that. I don't know how you give somebody undocumented a driver's license. But I mean, I don't know. Is that a thing? I don't know. I don't know anything about that. Is that true? You gave undocumented people driver's licenses? How you get a driver's license without an ID? How they prove they could drive? I don't know. How you do that? I don't know. You sure it was just not documented people? I don't know. But someone said his policies, you mean like legalizing marijuana? Tuition-free college for people for low-income Minnesotans? Free lunch? These are the policies. I mean, you may have just got here, my brother, but these are the policies. Let's go back to the policies Jake Tapper rattled off. Maybe some people missed it because they just got here. Let's go to the policies that I'm supposed to not like. Let's see the policies I'm not supposed to like, Clay J. Here we go. Check it out, guys.
You've legalized recreational marijuana. You passed universal background checks on guns. You expanded LGBTQ protections. You implemented tuition-free college for low-income Minnesotans. There's free breakfast and lunch for school kids. Do you think your record is an asset to the ticket, or would it risk fueling Trump's attacks as...
Yeah, like, I don't know. The only question I have here is, what is LGBTQ protections? I don't know what that is. If that means you can't just walk up and punch an LGBTQ person, I mean, okay, you shouldn't be able to do that to anybody. Is that what you mean? Or you mean something else? Like what? You gotta serve them if they come in the store? I don't know what it is. But how would you have a problem, unless you're a troll, how would you have a problem legalizing marijuana, tuition for people that can't afford college, universal background checks? We already got those, right? Strengthening them, I don't know what that means. And free lunch for kids, breakfast and lunch for kids. Like, how could that be a bad policy? I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, but I'm sure there's some other stuff. And the child tax credit helps poor kids. And that means monthly you get, instead of waiting at the end of the year, I think it was Maddie too for you. Instead of waiting till the end of the year, you get your tax credit, your earned tax credit throughout the year instead of waiting. So that's all it means. So that means you can kind of like pay bills during the year instead of waiting till the end of the year. So that's what that is. And that expired. They couldn't get it passed or something. Couldn't get it done. That was just part of one of Joe Biden's packages that went away. The Rescue Act or something. So anyway, yeah, I don't have a problem with those issues. I mean, with those policies right there. I don't have a problem with that. I wish there were more policies. I wish there was an anti-black hate crime bill. But he's a governor of a state that probably I don't know what the percentage of black people were. I don't know. But yeah, I wish there was more on the bone for us. But you're not going to really find that in the Democratic Party. And to the person that said, Tim Black, you're boosting up. I'm not boosting this guy. I didn't say I was going to vote for him. But I am going to call it straight. That's how I see it. I like those policies. You don't have to like those policies. You can continue to sit on the couch. I get it. Sit on the couch. I'm not voting for Kamala Harris. And as long as Kamala Harris is on that ticket, I can't give her my vote. So I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you don't think I should be able to fairly judge Tim Walz's movements and from what I'm hearing about him. You know, just because it doesn't jive with what you feel about him. But see, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm an independent. I don't think you are, sir. I think that you are Republican and you know it. So anyway, that's where I'm at on this, guys. Let me know what you think. Excuse me. Small town guy type thing. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. He's going to help out. That's going to help out. This race is getting tighter. Someone said, Tim, it's too little too late. It's not too little too late. They haven't voted yet. Yeah, they haven't voted yet. Someone said Andy Bashir would have been a better choice. Honestly, I never got around to totally check him out. Maybe if he would have got picked, I would have checked him out further. But what I'm hearing about Walz, he brings something different than Kamala. And he also has the military background too. Yeah, she could have chose worse. She could have did worse. She could have got Pete Buttigieg. Yeah, that's worse. Now, if your goal is to help Trump win, then you want Buttigieg, right? So sometimes people need to be honest about what their actual end game is. I just want the best persons to help the country so that my kids can live in it. I'm not here to help Republicans or Democrats. And I don't think J.D. Vance is panning out too well. That's what I think. Yeah. But anyway, let me know what y'all think, because it's up to you. This is not a propaganda show. I ain't mind controlling nobody. You do what you feel, and nothing but space and opportunity. Choose whoever you like. But that's where I'm coming up on Tim Walz. I think Tim Walz was a better pick than like Pete Buttigieg and Gwen Whitmer. And I don't know about Bashir, but I also like him better than Shapiro, which is saying some stuff. Do I have concerns? Yeah, I got concerns. The fact that Nancy Pelosi likes him. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi liking you makes me want to not like you. So I think I'm missing something. I'm missing some stuff. I gotta be missing a whole lot of stuff if Pelosi likes him. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Pelosi likes you, help. If Nancy Pelosi says, you're great, I'm like, I don't know about that, Johnson. I don't know. I don't know if I can, I don't know. But anyway, guys, my name is Tim Black. We do this. We don't do this. We have a show tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in to it. We'll probably touch on this a little bit more with new information coming in. And then we got the news of the day. I love you. Stay strong. I'll see you soon. Any comments? Anybody up here talking? What's up? What's up? What I got here? Nothing. I got comments, but AW says Walz was the safe pick. They say UAW was backing him. La 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 Cha said she love me. Yeah, what you think about Kamala has nothing to do with Walz, man. Kamala still has all the other criticism that we have of her. This is a different person. We don't do an update about her VP pick and spend it trashing Kamala. You Republicans, aren't you special? Did Kamala really want to win? I don't know. I don't know what she wanted to do. Yeah, given illegal. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm voting Trump because of the Kamala crisis. Hey, I hear you. Yeah. There are always going to be people that vote the other way. There's going to be people that vote the other way from you. So it is what it is. The question is, how do the independents feel about it? How do independent voters feel about him? That's who decides elections, Johnson. We already got your never Kamalas and your never Trumpers. But there are people in the middle, and the people, not people in the middle, but the independents who are not Democrats or Republicans who decide our elections, fam. And by the way, it's the largest group of voters. That seemed go spooky like Biden, didn't it? The largest group of voters that we have. I'm out here, guys. Yeah. Here he is. Here it goes. I like this. I feel he is decent, but he is just a VP. There it is. Thank you. Thank you, JBZ Games. Thank you, fam. Unless you're Dick Cheney, you don't have a whole lot of impact, do you? You know why people keep saying we can't judge Kamala based on what she did as VP? Because VPs don't do anything. Isn't that what I've been hearing? Like the last 4 years don't matter because she just, went and sat in the corner. Yeah, some hypocrites on the Democratic side, huh? All right, now. Thanks for watching.